shared with us our first Saturday support group, and I wanted to do something different today, and it's the first time I'm actually cooking since I worked here, and this is kind of exciting for me. So I thought kind of 11 o'clock, let's do kind of a brunch type thing, and what if pancakes works good? So in a lot of different times we have different challenges when it comes to carbohydrate protein ratio, and when you sit with me I talk a lot about that, how protein and carbohydrate is important, and it's important to keep it in balance because your body responds to that quite a bit. So this recipe contains coconut flour, okay, and much lower in carbohydrates compared to a regular wheat flour, about 8 grams, and 2 teaspoons, 2 grams of fat, about 2 grams in protein. I'm going to use some other way to increase our protein with unflavored protein powder. This is the one I have at home, Weight Factors. I like it because it doesn't have growth hormones, and that's important for me and my kids to prevent any of those things. So any brand is really good. You just need to try to find whatever works for you. I'm going to use coconut flour. I'm going to use vanilla. Now, any vanilla extra works. This is what I have. It's white vanilla. You won't find them. I mean, it's coming from home, Puerto Rico. So, a teaspoon of any vanilla extra, but this is actually what I have, is white vanilla. When I'm running out, yes, I call my mom and she ships to me. Salt, baking soda, and then 2 eggs. Now I have a packet of Splenda. This is just what I had at home right at the moment. You can use stevia or Truvia if you're kind of, avoiding this. Of course, not adding regular sugar, honey, agave nectar, brown sugar, just to try to keep the carb to protein ratio, where I want it to be. And the first thing, very simple, you're gonna have the 2 eggs. Oops, don't go. Stay with me. Stick here. 2 eggs. Now you can use equipment, tools. I'm gonna use my fork because it's easy for me. You know how your hands is already used to it, right? So the first thing is to beat the egg. About a year ago we talked about protein, right? And we talked about the importance of beating the eggs. What happens when we beat the eggs pretty well?
It's easier to absorb.
Yeah, it's easier to tolerate, yeah. You're breaking down on the protein bonds actually. And I mentioned last year when we talked about protein, if you take egg whites and you beat them to the point of getting that foam, that's really what you're doing. That's a little bit of food science. So it's important to beat the eggs, and as I go, you're going to see that I'm going to be beating quite often because that's going to make it easier for you. 2 eggs, you're going to add 1/4 cup of coconut flour. Okay, right there. Continue to beat, right? Oops. I'm kind of messy when I cook, but it's fun, I think my kids will love it. They start laughing. Do it again, Okay. Okay, then, I'm missing something. My milk. Milk, it's very subjective to me because milk is going to provide the consistency of the pancake. I like it not very thick, just to give you an idea how it's going to look like this. So if you want it thicker, gooier, just add a little less milk, okay, to make it that not too thick, not too thin consistency, somewhere in the middle. I'm using 1/2 cup of milk. Any milk is okay. Low-fat milk is the best. If you want to substitute with unsweetened almond vanilla, that's going to decrease some of the carbohydrate in that, per serving. And we'll talk about the distribution of your macronutrients later on, okay, when we're done here. And usually, not exactly what I did right now, because of course I'm all nervous because there's like 35 people looking at me. Usually I add the milk little by little, and I start beating and mixing as I go, and that way it prevents the clumpiness. I'll just do the extra hands. Okay. An eighth of a teaspoon of salt. You can skip the salt if you have high blood pressure. But salt balances some of the things that happens when you're baking or cooking. So it's important in a way to have just a pinch of salt. Baking soda, the same thing. And an eighth of a teaspoon. And I'm probably gonna write it down and bring a copy for everybody also, okay?
I'll send it out to everybody if you've got your, if I've got your email.
Okay, so I'm done with this. About 2 teaspoons, but I always use the lead. It's just, you know, a mom thing, maybe. I can use the actual. Okay, I'll use it. I'll use it just for you guys. A teaspoon. There you go. Okay, 2 tablespoons of coconut oil.
Laura, why is coconut oil suddenly very popular and being used a lot?
Yes, coconut oil is high in MCT, which is important for health. And what happened with our regular diet is that it's so high in omega-6 that our saturated fats are off, and our omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, they're very off. My analogy is just like carbohydrate and protein. And our diet could be 3 to 4 to 1. You know, we can have a product that has maybe 60, 70 grams of carbohydrates, and we keep our protein sometimes at 10 grams or less. And that needs to be more even out, more a 1-to-1 ratio. Well, the same happens with us when we eat very high in omega-6. Our diet is very high omega-6. Our vegetable oils, canola oil, you know, they're so high in omega-6 that throughout the day we have very little omega-3, and our omega-6 to omega-3 is sometimes 15, 20 times more than our omega-3. And that's where coconut oil, you know, it's important to keep the balance of our saturated, unsaturated fats. To me, it's more common coming from the Caribbean, but for you guys, it's kind of something new that has been come out. So that's the reason. I mean, it's important to have a good balance, and through history, we've been seeing that we went through a phase where we were eating very low fat, and that worked for a little bit, but then we increased our carbohydrate, and then that didn't work. And then we go kind of extreme Atkins, right? And for some time it works, but if we, you know, go way high on our proteins, that can act as a source of energy, right? And then we kind of plateau as well. So it's the importance is just to create a good balance, right? Now this, last. I use a half of my scoop. A scoop provides 18 grams, and I usually use half because I don't want it. My kids, I always think of my kids, and I can't go very high in protein. I just need to keep an eye on that ratio for them. And second, I really want to get to that 1-to-1 carb to protein, and that's why I use half a scoop to keep it at that rate. However, if you're lacking protein, if you're able to eat 1 pancake and you can't eat anything else, then you can add more unflavored protein, and that's going to boost your protein and that volume of your food. So that's really up to you, okay? So I'm using half a scoop. And now, to me, and this depends on the flour and a little bit more or less of what I did on the 4th of a cup, but to me this is a little too thick. But this is where each of you needs to find your own tune, and I'll show you. If you see it's very thick, when you cook it's going to become very, very thick, okay? So I'm going to just add a little bit more milk. I'm going to say like a teaspoon. And that's where you gotta eyeball it. This is the magic of cooking, right? Where you gotta see it and practice see. I'm gonna add another teaspoon. It can be a little thinner. I don't know if you can see it. Do you guys like it thicker or thinner? Thinner like this? Okay, that's good.
Pancake in a year, it can be any way you want to make it.
Well, I'm gonna keep it like this because I don't want to affect your carb to protein ratio for the information that I'll give you in a second. Okay, and I'm done. So this is all done. I use my grandma spoon. Pam. And we're all done. Any questions? Okay, this provides, yes.
When you cook or bake with, and you add either protein or liquid,
Uh-huh.
I mean either powdered or liquid proteins, do you still have the same amount of protein in after you've cooked it?
Yes.
The powder and the.
This is 18 grams in a scoop. So it's gonna be about 9 grams in half a scoop, but you gotta remember that this makes 7 servings. So you're not intaking the 9 grams. I don't want you thinking like that because you made the batch that has 7 servings and you're not eating all the 7 servings. So that's where each pancake will make about 84 calories. It's going to provide about 4.3 grams of protein, so about 4 grams, 3.5 grams in carbohydrates, and it's a little higher in fat, about 5.5, 5.8 grams, and that's because we're using coconut oil and we're using coconut flour also. Okay? Yes?
So because you use coconut flour and coconut oil, is it gonna make it sweeter in taste to where you won't need syrup or anything?
That's for your preference. I'm gonna be honest with you. I like it with a tiny bit. I mean, there's nothing better than a little sweetness on top. But I brought a syrup, okay? I bought a non-high fructose corn syrup. We should stay away from that. And it doesn't have sugar alcohols, okay? And to me, that's important for you guys because some of you might become sensitive to sugar alcohols. But it's half of the calories of a regular one. So 1/4 of a cup, just to give you an idea. So 1/4 of a cup is going to give you 25 grams. So I don't want you putting a bunch of this, right? It's not even realistic. Half of this is going to be like, 12 or so. And I'm going to do like a drizzle. So I'm going to add maybe 4 to 5 grams. So just to give an idea. But, 1-to-1 ratio, so we notice that it's about 4 grams and 4 grams, right? Plus or minus 0.8, 0.5. And you add protein, okay? So let's say that you have 1 ounce or 2 ounces of protein that you can intake and you intake first. You're pretty much in a good shape with getting your protein, getting some carbohydrates, getting essential fats. So it's about 6 grams, I said, right? 6-7 grams of fat. And you should be intaking maybe about 10 grams per meal, 30 grams per day, to give you an idea. So you're perfect there, okay? Not that you're gonna find this already made for you that you can just pour and make it. I could probably make a business out of that, huh?
Yes.
But, with the right ingredients and having the right things at home, I think you're very easy to be able to do that. Make it fun for the kids. Then you can get the little shapes for her. Yeah, it was very exciting. And really delicious. My baby was like sitting and eating them more. She kept doing it. Okay, let's do more, okay?
Do you need
Any
to turn
questions?
your pancake?
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is another thing. These pancakes, this is a little tip. I don't have that. I don't have anything to move it, actually. But, these pancakes, cook them on low heat. Low heat. Seems like that flour takes a little longer to cook. My experience, so make it on lower heat. I got it like on a 4, and I should have turned it a little beforehand. It's still kind of golden, if you can see. But it takes just a little bit to cook, okay, compared to any other flour, any other wheat flour. My experience, okay? So So I never went on above 4 at all. Okay?
Now, you can make those and freeze them, can you not? And then just put them back in a skillet, warm them up before you
Yeah, you
go to
can
work
do
or
that.
something? I don't know,
I
microwave
don't
may
know
make it
how
kinda
the
tough.
quality. I don't know how the quality would be though. I have not experienced that yet. Some foods you can. Some foods the quality of the taste will change. All right. Any question? Remember that all those frozen products they already add some preservatives to make it go that long and to be able to freeze and thaw. But that's some of the extra ingredients that they add to make it happen. Any questions? Simple enough? Right ingredients, mix it all together, get a bowl, get a fork. This is too big for me. I mean, you can use this, but I use this when the batter is like a bigger amount, like a 2 cups, 3 cups. Fork is fine. All done?